Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello there. On the programme this evening,
we promised a new approach for a new era. We promised to release the enormous potential of this country.
Cutting tax for the better off to benefit the rest, but a long way from Westminster. People on the breadline turn to charity to get through the toughest of times.
This winter was bleak and now it's going to be horrific.
facing a hike in their insurance of 1,500%, 5 years after Grenfell and several government promises, the residents being forced to pay to make their homes safe.
St Helens at a date with destiny at the Super League Grand Final.
You've won £43,912.
Helping us help some seriously good causes. We go again with the People's Projects.
And in the weather, as we fling ourselves into the weekend, will the fur fly when we find out the prospects? All the details coming up.
So stay with us for all of that. First tonight, has the government ditched levelling up? It was one of the key policies behind the Conservatives winning so many seats off Labour in the north of England at the last election.
But tonight, that's the criticism coming from Labour in the wake of Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng's first mini-budget, which focused on cutting taxes for the better off to stimulate growth and jobs.
Here are some of the highlights of Mr Kwarteng's statement.
The 45% top rate of income tax is being cut to 40% for the highest earners.
The basic rate of income tax will be cut to 19p in the pound.
The cap on bankers' bonuses will be scrapped.
People on universal credit will have to seek more and better paid jobs or see their benefits cut.
In a support package worth £60 billion, household energy bills will be capped at £2,500 a year.
And one more, stamp duties also being cut on house sales.
Of course, there's much more, including cuts to corporation tax and national insurance, and we'll be getting some analysis from Leisha in Westminster soon.
First, though, this report from Anna Yosef begins at a community hub in Salford where they're asking how the mini-budget will help those they support.
Sharing the little they have. This charity in Salford helps more than 2,000 people every month. Many were already on the breadline. Now they're living below it.
Let no one doubt, Mr. Speaker, that during the worst energy crisis in generations, this government is on the side of the British people.
Did you hear the Chancellor announce anything that's going to help the people that you help?
No, nothing. It's going to make the people that we help, which are a lot of people that are working or cannot work for reasons, worse off. This winter was bleak and now it's going to be horrific. Reducing benefits for people that are actually working and claiming benefits because they can't afford to live is incomprehensible. People that are working are reliant on food banks, and that's before the energy increases in October. We're putting packs together that includes blankets and fingerless gloves and hats because we know people are going to be without gas and electric, battery-powered lights, and so we can warm the person. And that's not changed, even with the cap that she's putting in place.
This restaurant owner believes the mini-budget was a missed opportunity to help hospitality. He'd been hoping for a reduction in VAT and business rates.
The one little glimmer of hope actually was the reduction in the national insurance for both employees and employers. Obviously interested to see income tax coming down as well. I think that will have a small effect, but I think what they're doing is it's the long-term plan that they seem to be adopting for the big businesses and the bankers. But what they need to address is what happens to the little guys and the ones who are still trying to recover from COVID. So there's still a lot of worries out there.
The government's described this mini-budget as a game changer, with the emphasis on ramping up growth and kick-starting the economy. This mortgage broker says she's already been contacted by new buyers.
Great news that the stamp duty's been changed. I think it will really help people wanting to move who've already got a property and they're looking to move maybe to a bigger property. The stamp duty is going to be less, but then that means it's going to free up properties for first-time buyers as well.
And it's an early wedding present for this young couple who are getting married next week.
So we're pleased with the announcement today because it's worked out that it saved us about £3,000 in paying stamp duty.
Yeah, that's a nice amount of money to help us, like with the extra bits of furniture we would have had to maybe wait a few months to buy. You know, there's extra costs that creep up on you, so it's a nice little buffer for us.
Yeah.
And the region could benefit from investment zones with huge tax cuts for businesses.
We've had some really great conversations over recent days about sites including Blackpool Town Centre, Blackpool Airport, Ellesmere Port, areas around Barrow in Cumbria. It is incredibly exciting to see sites coming forward which seem really promising. Clearly we've got to have the formal process over the course of the next few weeks to finally determine which sites go forward, but these are great early indicators of the kinds of places we're looking at.
With levelling up only getting a passing mention, the question is, will today's mini-budget put money back in the pockets of the people who need it most? Anna Yosef, ITV News, Salford.
Our political correspondent, Leisha McNally's in Westminster. Leisha, so has levelling up the north and south been replaced by something called trickling down?
Well, as with all things in politics, Anne, that rather depends on who you ask. But today certainly felt like quite a definitive rebranding of the government's core agenda. For more than 2 years, the phrase levelling up was the guiding star of our economic policy. Every minister's speech littered with those two words. Today, the Chancellor mentioned it only once. That would have been unimaginable in the days of Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak. Instead, the new buzzword is growth, and it's a very different economic philosophy, far less focused on a redistribution of wealth between north and south, and built on the principle that making wealthy people wealthier isn't actually a problem, as long as that wealth generates investment and jobs and means we all end up with more money in our pockets. Now, it could work, it could also crash and burn, and at the height of a cost of living crisis, it's undoubtedly a big risk to take, one the opposition says is the wrong bet at the wrong time.
I think the government have been absolutely reckless. This is a kind of casino economics where they think that somehow throwing a huge amount of money at the top 1% of the country is going to tackle the challenges that people have faced. And I think a lot of families up and down the country will be wondering why they weren't the priority, why their quality of life wasn't the priority today.
So either way, Leisha, it's a gamble, isn't it? How are the Conservatives going to sell a cut to bankers' bonuses on the doorsteps of Lee, Bury and Bolton?
Well, you're right. I mean, this mini-budget is not just a major economic challenge, it's also a political one. But Boris Johnson's personality is seen as being the key to many of those red wall seats in 2019. And Liz Truss can't just pledge the same promises again 4 years later, or she risks looking like a watered-down second-choice candidate. She has to bring something different. What the Conservatives will be hoping is that measures like these low-tax, growth-focused investment zones in places like Blackpool and Barrow will do the job and smooth over any awkward conversations about bankers' bonuses. I put your question to the MP for Blackpool South, and he certainly wasn't daunted. Many are saying that this is a budget that's fundamentally unfair. What do you say to that?
I don't think it's fundamentally unfair at all. The only way we're going to help working class constituents in places such as Blackpool is to increase economic growth. That's exactly what this budget does. But for people who are on low incomes in Blackpool, this is a £1,500 package of a budget, which means they'll be substantially better off.
So the battle lines have been drawn, top-down versus bottom-up economics, and expect to hear much more of that as MPs pack up and head to their party conferences, which kick off in Liverpool this weekend.
Leisha McNally in Westminster, thank you. More on the Chancellor's mini-budget on the ITV News at 6:30. Next, though, residents of an apartment block in Manchester fear they can't pay thousands in insurance bills more than 5 years after the Grenfell fire exposed risks in tower blocks.
Many leaseholders across the northwest have already had to find huge sums for repairs. Now they face paying out even more to insurers. The new Housing Secretary, the fourth in the last year, says he wants to see an end to abuse practices and profiteering.
But as our correspondent Elaine Wilcox has been finding out, many not only feel trapped, but say their lives are on hold.
This couple are getting married, but all their savings are going on an apartment they can't sell. Now their insurance bill has gone up by more than 1,500%.
It's causing so much stress, and, you know, it's Bagley, it's not an affluent area. Who's got £5,000 to spare within 3 weeks?
Compass Point in Manchester doesn't have flammable cladding. The apartment block lacks fire breaks and has wooden balconies, and only one insurance company would cover them. Danish Yassin fears unless all the residents pay, they could face eviction.
If we don't pay for a problem that we didn't cause, They're going to put us on the street. I feel like I'm a strong person mentally, but I really do feel I'm going to break down one day. It's a feeling of hopelessness.
Unlike other apartment blocks, the leaseholders here aren't worried about their safety, but what keeps them awake at night is the soaring insurance bills, something they have to pay until they fix the safety defects at a cost of £20,000 each.
The managing agents, CBM, are calling for a government fund and say eviction would be the last resort. With the huge hike in insurance, they say they don't even have the money to fix the building's lift, out of order for 2 months.
Particularly those on the higher floors, and we are doing and will do everything we possibly can to get this lift back in service as quickly as possible for them, alongside making sure that we can remove the unaffordable insurance premiums longer term by getting some support in there from government.
The campaign group Manchester Gladiators have been lobbying the government for action against those profiteering.
This is the problem, that the practices that have been going on, the Secretary of State has called them alarming, if not abusive. They've been allowed to perpetuate for years upon years. We need actual help, and that's only going to come from the government intervening.
The latest Housing Secretary has once again pledged to tackle industry abuses. Those who fear losing their homes say that can't come soon enough. Elaine Wilcox, ITV News, Manchester.
We asked the government for a response to that story. A spokesperson for the Department for Levelling Up and Housing told us building owners with properties between 11 and 18 metres must comply with the law and front up costs to fix their unsafe buildings.
We are working at pace to bring down the cost of insurance for leaseholders. Experts widely recognise that low-rise buildings are unlikely to need costly remediation, but it is building owners' responsibility to ensure their properties are safe. Security's been increased around the Royal Liverpool Hospital after a woman was raped in its multi-storey car park. The attack happened on Sunday. Police searching for the attacker want to hear from anyone who witnessed anything suspicious or caught something on a dash cam.
The author, Dame Hilary Mantel, has died at the age of 70. Dame Hilary, who was from Glossop, was best known for her award-winning Wolf Hall books. She received a damehood in 2014. Her publisher says she was one of the greatest English novelists of this century.
And I have to agree with her.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
to sports and a special moment for St Helens Rugby League Club. This weekend, they're bidding for a record 4th consecutive Super League title.
Chris Hall is at Old Trafford tonight, where St Helens will feel right at home, Chris.
Yeah, this is the 24th Super League Grand Final to be staged at Old Trafford, and St Helens have been in half of them. 8 times they have lifted this trophy since the Grand Final era began in 1998, and they will be heavy favourites to do so again, having finished the regular season comfortably top of the Super League table. But their opponents tomorrow are Leeds Rhinos, who have faced St Helens 4 times here before and beaten them on every occasion. So there are old scores to settle. There is a St Helens head coach in his farewell game, and there is a legendary St Helens skipper on the brink of history, as David Chisnall reports.
St Helens are the most successful side in 25 years of Super League. No one has been crowned champions more times than Saints, and tomorrow they can make more history by becoming the first team to lift the trophy 4 years in a row. The club's 36-year-old captain James Roby has won 5 grand finals, but victory against Leeds at Old Trafford would top the lot.
Maybe you did take it for granted when you were younger, where now I know, to get to a grand final, for example, I might never get in this position again. And plus, obviously for us as a team at St Helens, potentially winning 4 in a row has never been done before, so there's a lot of motivation behind that as well, because we want to be remembered as a great team, and hopefully by winning silverware that will do that.
After 3 seasons as head coach, the grand final will be Christian Wolff's last game in charge of St Helens before returning home to Australia. He wants to bow out with one more win as a thank you to the fans.
Having to say goodbye is going to be really difficult. The way they've supported me, the way they've supported the family and the family within the community, we've certainly felt at home and felt very comfortable since we've been in St Helens, and love every part of living in St Helens for that reason. And as I said, I can't thank them enough, and One thing I know about this group of men is they'll give their best performance they possibly can, and they're going to fight as hard as they can for you and make you proud again on Saturday.
I don't think I can pay him enough compliments for what he's done, and obviously this is his third grand final in 3 years. I think he's really brought a team spirit and a togetherness and a never die attitude that I think you need in champion teams, so it's no surprise with the results we've had. It mirrors the bloke that's been in charge of us.
The stage is set for what Saints know could be a historic and emotional night for both the club and its coach. David Chisnell, ITV News, Old Trafford.
Well, now to a legend of Old Trafford. Manchester United's Cristiano Ronaldo has today been charged by the Football Association over an incident in which he appeared to knock a mobile phone out of the hand of an opposing fan. Now, this happened last season after a defeat to Everton. As he left the pitch, he was cautioned by Merseyside police afterwards. Now, the FA has charged him with improper and/or violent conduct. United say they will be supporting their player. Now, as Old Trafford prepares to stage Rugby League's showpiece event, down the M62, Anfield is ready to host the return of the Merseyside derby in football's Women's Super League. It's been 2 years since the last one, with Liverpool getting relegated to the Championship. Now they are back, but Everton are in no mood to give up the bragging rights. In this city, the dividing line between football allegiances is never blurred. As a kid, were you a red or a blue?
A red. Biggest one ever.
You're almost offended by me even asking you the question. That passion has grown during 2 long years outside the big league. Promotion was so crucial to Liverpool that it was celebrated on the same platform as the men's double cup success.
Getting the opportunity to do that with the men after they've just come back from a Champions League final, to celebrate what they'd won and what we've won, it was unbelievable, and the whole city was behind us, and it's still emotional when I think about it, the scenes that I've seen. It was just red everywhere, no other colour I don't think, and Calvin Harris DJing on the bus for us, it was one of the best days of my life.
Another will come at Anfield. The last time the women's derby was played here, the crowd topped 23,000. It could be even bigger this week as the wave of interest from the Euros washes onto Super League shores.
Even walking to the stadium, you saw fans all over the place, wearing the shirts and chanting and singing and taking over the entire city. So it was really cool to see. So I hope we can piggyback off that this year and bring more of that energy, bring more of those people in the seats.
With the extra attention comes extra pressure. Last season, Everton were expected to attack for a Champions League place. Instead, they sacked 2 managers and finished 3rd from bottom, leaving Brian Sorensen a major rebuild.
Last year was a struggle for everyone, and me personally, it was definitely the hardest year that I've had since I've been here, but ever since Brian's come in, it has felt like a breath of fresh air for us. After last year, there's not that much expectation on us externally, but internally, I think in terms of groups that I've played with, it's one of the best.
They're restoring fans' faith in tandem with the men's team. The integration here similar to that which Izzy Christiansen experienced at Manchester City.
It was something which took time to build that rapport, and I think it's sort of a little bit of earning respect. A huge amount of credit needs to be given to Frank Lampard and his staff for, really increasing the feel and the mood around the club. There's a really good buzz around it now. There's a real connection starting between the men's and the women's teams. A real integration of, just seeing each other on a daily basis and encouraging each other.
All who roared for the Lionesses hope the return of this rivalry will maintain the momentum. It's a weekend for reigniting old rivalries. There are less than 24 hours to go until this place explodes into life with music, fireworks and the roar of more than 60,000 supporters, all waiting to see whether it will be St Helens or Leeds who lift this trophy again.
And what a trophy it is. Chris at Old Trafford, thank you very much.
Now, if you're involved in a community group doing great work in your local area, you could be eligible to apply for up to £70,000 to help it grow.
That's because the People's Project is back when ITV teams up with the National Lottery Community Fund to give away thousands of pounds to good causes which are improving people's lives, and the public will vote on who deserves it most.
So we're looking for projects that, for example, bring people together or make communities stronger. We'll tell you how to apply in a moment, but first, Rachel Pritchard reports on what a difference that money can make.
The reason we've come to film is that you've won £43,912.
Oh, it's wonderful. Really, really wonderful. Thank you. I'm sure I should hug and kiss you, but...
The moment lives change for the better. Together Dementia Support in Manchester were one of the winners of the People's Projects, a partnership between ITV and the National Lottery Community Fund. The charity runs activities for people living with dementia and offers support for their carers. They won close to £44,000 and used it to fund a minibus and driver. And with that, the group took off.
When I think back 4 years ago, before we had the minibus, we were a tiny organisation, just 2 staff, myself and another, and our volunteers. And we were struggling. We wanted to bring people to groups, but nobody had transport, and we were trying to book taxis and get volunteers to pick them up, but we were limited, really limited by the lack of transport. So when we got the minibus and some money to have a driver, it was just transformative, and it really helped the charity to grow. We've now got 11 staff and we run 10 groups, 8 groups every week and 2 groups once a month, and other things. We take people on trips. The minibus is used every single day.
You remember us?
No.
Oh, I know you wouldn't.
We'll remember you better on the way home.
All right.
They call themselves Fabulous Forgetful Friends, and it's that friendship and social interaction that is so important.
Just to be with other people who are struggling with their memory is quite useful, really, because it makes you feel less lonely. You know, like, I'm not the only one who's doing that. There's quite a lot. Well, I know I'm not the only one, but, you know, but sometimes you feel like you're the only one.
Well, it's a lifeline, a huge lifeline for me, really, and the fact that my mum's got somewhere to go on a regular basis now, meeting up with friends, having that interaction with other people. It's been amazing, absolutely amazing. It's a fantastic organisation.
My mum's doctor has said that above all the pills and all the GP appointments and everything, the most important thing is that she gets as much social contact as possible, but there's hardly any groups around. Together Dementia Support, they're one of the only few groups, and it's great that, you know, my mum can go to the Friday group, and it's brilliant that they collect her. It gives us all a break, she enjoys it, and we really appreciate the support.
Winning the People's Projects made a world of difference to everyone here, and the same can happen to you. What would your group spend the money on? Applications are now open. It could be the time for your project to bloom. Rachel Pritchard, ITV News.
So, if up to £70,000 could transform a project you're involved with, head to itv.com/The People's Projects. Applications are open until 12 noon on Friday the 7th of October, or when the limit for applications to this fund has been reached, if this comes sooner. Terms and conditions and privacy notice can be found on the website.
Now the weather from Emma.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there. As I'm sure you know, the first day of astronomical autumn today, and it certainly is beginning to feel like the season, and it's spider season as well. Nature's tapestry there, love it. And things look quite changeable over the weekend. Then as we head into the start of the new week, we're expecting it to feel markedly colder, and I'll show you why. So here's the setup at the moment. Low pressure up to the north and high pressure out to the west in the Atlantic. Now, the low is quite intense up to the north there with some very tight isobars around it. And this high, well, it's being influenced by Hurricane Fiona, which is currently impacting Canada, not directly affecting us, but inflating that area of high pressure, that ridge there. And so 2 quite intense features, and they're drawing down this bitterly cold Arctic air from the north. And you can see those blue colours just flooding in and suffusing us and just replacing the warmer oranges and yellows. So it is going to feel a lot colder Monday and Tuesday. Rewinding though to the next few hours, showers continue for a while this evening, and then skies mostly clear overnight. As you can see, just an odd one running down through the Irish Sea, but largely clear inland, and still feeling a bit chilly like it did last night. But unlike last night, no indications really for mist and fog. Now, John noticed exactly what I did this morning, that very bright, misty, glorious sunshine. And tomorrow morning, it'll be quite a fine start, largely dry, 1 or 2 showers around, possibly just running through the Irish Sea again, breaking out a bit more widely late morning, early afternoon, but with pressure building from the west there, that ridge of high pressure building in, it kills off the showers as they start to form. feeling quite good in the sunshine. Largely dry for much of Sunday, but then wet and windy overnight into Monday. Sunny spells, though, after that. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thanks, Emma. That's it from Granada Reports. I'm back with the late news after news at 10 tonight.
For now, though, thanks for watching. Thanks from the whole team and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.